Pisces, welcome to your monthly sidereal forecast for August of 2015. My name is Athen. So right at the beginning of the month, we've got Saturn going station direct, who recently went into your 8th house. Well, he had been there for the past 2.5 years, up until 2015. So basically, anything that you've been perhaps working on during that time period that is about removing yourself from unhealthy bonds, which is sometimes debts, things like that, getting deeper with relationships, deeper with yourself, seeing the truth of life, perhaps studying esoteric information or things like that. But whatever it's been, now, he recently went in here last month, so now he's going station direct, which is some energy to start to move forward with in regards to that. And he'll be there all month. And Saturn is a big player this month, so I do recommend putting in that hard work with a lot of that, with the deeper side of life, so that you can enjoy things more. Because once we see the truth of the matter, then we can accept it. And once we accept it, we find that there's that peace and then flow, and then there's the integration with all the other areas of life as well. So that being said, Saturn is going to be squaring up to a lot of the fast-moving planets, including your ruler Jupiter. Not that he's a fast mover, but he is going to be squaring up to Saturn. That's going to be on the 3rd, actually. So the important thing is here for you, Pisceans, is to stay disciplined this month. That's really going to be the emphasis for everybody, because Saturn is forming these squares here, but especially this around the 3rd. Coming into this month, and relating to career as well, since Jupiter does naturally rule your 10th house. But here it's about patience, long-term, viewpoints on things. And this is all about the fun and joy and self-expression of you, of who you are, because Jupiter has been transiting your 5th house, and it's going to be finishing up that transit this month. So there's been hopefully a lot of opportunities for you to either do creative things, small business. Some of you may have had children over the past year, or developing new relationships with them. Whatever it's been that helps you expand and enjoy life more has been the emphasis. So now, with his final transit of that 5th house, your ruler is going to be squared up to Saturn, who's calling you to have that mature, disciplined, finishing up type of energy, and putting in that grounded energy into these 5th house things. But also in regards to these 6th house things, because there's a lot of shifting taking place this early part of the month. And it's involving your ruler and also Venus and Mercury. We've got a 3-way conjunction between Venus, Jupiter, and Mercury, and they're all transitioning houses at that time. Venus, who retrograde in your 6th, is now going into your 5th. So reflecting on some of these 5th house matters, your values relating to these 5th house things, how you're communicating perhaps or exchanging in regards to them, how you can enjoy life more in general. And that's going to be the energy to reflect on for this month. And you'll find that what you learn during this time, next month when she goes station direct, you'll be able to apply a lot of the stuff that you learned. But with Saturn, again, it's taking it slow with the things you value, one step at a time, long-term sort of perspective. Now, Jupiter and Mercury going into the 6th is sort of heralding a new shift for you in regards to health, routine, diet, your work, your day-to-day work in particular, developing new crafts. Coming from the 5th house, this is especially for those of you who are involved with either small business or creative sort of projects and things. This is where you really start to work on the discipline, the day-to-day routine involved with those things, or the crafts that you're getting better at involving those creative sort of pursuits. So that's the kind of energy to really expand on for the next year now, with Jupiter in that 6th house. Really expand on that developing crafts and work stuff and routine, so that you can have more of that enjoyment, of course, because that's what 6th coming from the 5th is all about. So that being said, and Jupiter, ruling your 10th house, perhaps improving things relating to your career as well. Now, Mercury conjuncting all of this is helping you understand a lot more about yourself too, and career. And Mercury in your 6th house for pretty much the whole month is going to help you understand how to really get the routine taken care of. Mercury likes to be in the 6th house, so it's about that discipline, that hard work to make sure everything is nice and organized, so that you can enjoy life more, maybe even that spiritual tranquil time, which I'll talk about. So that being said, that 3-way conjunction, all in all, I think we should all be feeling quite optimistic in general, but it just depends on our personal charts. And with that Saturn, making sure that, again, we're keeping 2 feet firmly on the ground, and any hard work we do put into those areas that I mentioned does pay off in time. once we do put in that energy there. So it's a very Saturnian sort of month for all of us. So that's the 6th and 7th. Also on the 6th and 7th, Mars will be trining up to Saturn. So there is some discipline energy. And when that happens, Mars is going into your 5th. So where Mars was in your 4th, which isn't the best house for Mars, and he's still not in the best sign either for all of us. There's a lot of this, frustrated kind of energy, perhaps, because Mars likes to be up here and up at the top. So you're going to probably notice your energy levels have been improving, and they will continue to improve this month. But still, take it slow, at least until the end part of the month when he goes into Leo, especially relating to creativity, self-expression, that fun and joy in life, and. But anything that you're intent on, utilize it just in that balanced way. Just make sure it's balanced. But I think it will be with Saturn trining up to it from Libra. So I think just working with it, utilizing that energy, and any intentions you do set around that 5th house, I would certainly be putting them into play from around the 6th and 7th onward, because we are going to have a new moon here as well, shaping up in that 5th house of yours. So that's all this sort of 6th, 7th time period. And then on the 12th, Mercury does oppose up to Neptune, your secondary ruler. So the important thing here is that, Neptune's been transiting this peace and tranquility and psychic part of your chart. So hopefully you have been tuning into those things, and now it's certainly an opportunity to bring them into the day-to-day sphere, because while there's a lot of things starting to shape up for you in regards to that routine and diet and health and work or whatever it is you're involved with, probably all of it to a degree, it's so that you can have this tranquil time, so you can have this meditative time, and likewise you can have peace and presence in the day-to-day environment. So that's really where I'd be focused on with this kind of opposition, because Mercury is very rational, very practical, rules that 6th house. Neptune rules that 12th house. So it's about seeing that these two houses actually aren't different at all. Opposite houses are actually very, very similar. They're actually the same house, just an inverse of it. So what I mean by that is that this is the house of spirituality, the 6th house. It's our service work, but it's done on the day-to-day level. So bringing that into it, learning more about it, listening to dream space, things like that. Your intuitive abilities probably around this time should be quite high, depending on your personal chart, of course. And you can certainly communicate and speak about these things. Just be careful not to try to have everything figured out around this time either, because if we try to get too analytical, too practical, too day-to-day, then it tips the scales and we go too far into this area, where it is still important for you to have that rest, relaxation, trust, and faith in the whole process. So that'll be important. This whole month really is this balancing between the 12th and 6th, because after Mercury will be the Sun opposing up to Neptune and so forth, with the remainder of these planets still yet to move forward. So that's though the 12th in particular. And then on the 14th, we've got the new moon shaping up in that 5th house. So new beginnings relating to playfulness, fun, creativity, children, romance even is another thing seen from the 5th house. So these are all coming from, I think, what you're reflecting on, because this new moon is conjuncting up to Venus, who is, hopefully you've been thinking about these values of what it is that you're really passionate about in life. And this can certainly be new beginnings there. So reflect on this around the 14th. The energies will probably notice are quite low around this time. And that's good, because it's supposed to be a reflective time. And then as the month sort of unfolds, more and more of that energy will be available to put into whatever these 5th house matters are for you. And and then it'll be quite constructive too, or can be quite constructive, because Saturn is squaring up to this position. So again, like I keep repeating, it's so important to have that mature approach, discipline, and wanting to take responsibility perhaps of some of these things that you're creating in life. So that being said, that's going to be the 14th, and all's quiet up until around the 21st in terms of the major aspects, at which time we do have the Sun transitioning into that 6th. So here, that passion, that vigor, a lot of these things relating to your self-expression are going to go from a creative element into developing them again, whether it's developing creative projects or getting the health and routine, because when our health and routine is good, then we feel alive, and that's kind of the nature of this 5th and 6th house. So anyways, you can be quite passionate. There's a lot to it, like I said, learn about 6th house, but I would certainly be putting in that energy there to make sure everything's taken care of that on that day-to-day level. And that being said, while the Sun is of course going to be squaring up to that Saturn, we'll be conjoining up to Jupiter. So there are some new things perhaps shaping up. Perhaps you're feeling quite optimistic about, these sixth house matters, which is really good since the sun does naturally rule your sixth house, and he's in dignity here. So very expansive, and because this is your ruler, you guys are probably going to be feeling quite expressive in general around this time period as well, around this 26th. So express yourself. That's great. It's a lot of this Leo energy unfolding, a lot of creative energy. You got Venus and Mars still in your fifth house, and there's passion there, there's fun, there's joy, but it's coming in because you are perhaps working hard and taking care of these day-to-day things and getting that rest and relaxation. So that's the 26th. Mercury does transit into your 7th house at that time as well. So, this is a reminder that this whole year is an unfoldment of relationships for you, or at least it's supported. You have the open doors, the open horizons for you to move towards developing your one-on-one connections, whether it's romantic or otherwise, just all relationships in general. And around the 28th, when Mercury conjoins the North Node, you can certainly learn a lot about your life path, whatever that might be for your personal chart as well. But I would certainly be, exchanging, communicating, busy time, hopefully with relationships. That's the kind of energy to work with Mercury in that 7th house. And it's very mental too. It's just kind of exchanging ideas and stuff. So that's the 28th, and then on the 29th, Saturn goes back into your 9th house, where he's there to stay for the next 2.5 years to help you get disciplined with philosophy, anything relating to travel, anything that's about expanding your horizons, which is a sort of, paradox with Saturn here, because this is a fire house, and Saturn here is about disciplining so that you can have more expansion in your life, and to build structures so you can have more expansion in your life. And so all of that stuff is certainly on the table when you're wanting to take that hard work approach to expanding your horizons, whether it's literally, such as travel, or through philosophy. It could be that, you're reading books, or taking courses or university, studies and things like that, so that you can build those foundations in your life as foundations. So that's Saturn. And then on the 29th as well, we've got that full moon in Aquarius, your 12th house. So there is this psychic, deep, there's this spiritual element to this month, certainly. And this is your house too. So over the past 6 months, for any of you who've been getting involved with spiritual sort of things, this can be a high point of that. But all in all, the energy level should be quite high, speaking in terms of the 12th house. So what I mean by that is that when it has to do with spiritual things and rest and relaxation, there's a lot of vigor, a lot of energy there for those things, and also the day-to-day stuff. So balancing it, this is about getting that rest and relaxation, but maybe you got to take care of the routine and stuff to make it so, and bring that energy into it. And it's going to be very expansive full moon conjoining up to Jupiter with the sun, and then Neptune will be conjoining up to the moon, who is your secondary ruler. So there's a lot to learn about you, I think, in general during this full moon as well, especially behind the scenes and the psyche and maybe your, again, intuitive abilities. So very nice there going into September. And that's pretty much it. There is a conjunction between Venus and Mars, who is going conjunct here at the very beginning of September in your 5th house. So this is the classic yin-yang, masculine, feminine energy involving your creativity, your self-expression, and they are very well aspected as well. So this is mostly a September energy, but all that stuff you learned about what you're really passionate about, how to have more fun, to be more playful, enjoy that kind of energy in life. This is where you can really start to assert it, because Mars goes into Leo, where he's in a much better placement than Cancer. And from this point onward into September, you can certainly put a lot of that energy into those 5th house matters, as I'm sure you have been, and you can continue to do so. The sun will be opposing up to your secondary ruler, Neptune, at the tail end of the month as well. So lots to be illuminated too about the unconscious and spiritual things, as well as having more trust and faith and flow and presence in the day-to-day work environment. So Pisces, have a nice month. If you have any questions, please let me know. If you're new to Sidereal, do check out Mastering the Zodiac, or if you'd like a personal session, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Take care.